This is Captain Soren of the Vigilant. Welcome to the bottom of the rabbit hole.
Big Matrix University salute to Captain Soren for the exclusive introduction, and salute to everyone who is tuning in. You are always appreciated. In this video, we'll go over all the different hovercraft ships featured in the Matrix Trilogy. Make sure you stick around until the very end, because actor Steve Bastoni is going to share a quick Matrix Reloaded story with us. So if this is your first time down here, or you want to know every detail about the Matrix universe, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on any future updates. In the real world machines of the Matrix video here on this channel, I briefly covered the general functionality and commercial production history of the Matrix hovercrafts. I'll leave a link in the description for anyone who missed out. The same hovercraft technology can be seen in aircraft that were used during Operation Dark Storm. This video is going to focus on the different hovercrafts and crews that are referenced throughout the live-action Matrix Trilogy films. The first ship on this list is sort of an honorable mention. We never actually see the Brahma. The ship was named after the Hindu god who is the creator in the Hindu Trinity. Captain Kali is named after the Hindu goddess and was present during the Captain's Crisis meeting in the Matrix Reloaded. The Brahma was also part of Commander Locke's defense fleet in the Matrix Revolutions. The ship had been destroyed so badly by Sentinels during that battle, there was nothing salvageable, nor were there any survivors. Another ship that we know very little about is the Ganesha, which appears at the dock during the Matrix Reloaded. The Ganesha was parked at landing pad 6 on the dock, appeared in the Zion archives, and also appeared in the concept art sketches by artist George Hull. The name comes from the Hindu remover of obstacles. The Vinshu is another hovercraft that we have no crew information for, but we do know its name through the concept art sketches, and we get a quick glimpse of the ship parked on the Zion dock at landing pad 5 in Reloaded. It happened to be one of the smaller hovercrafts, and the ship is named after Vinshu, the second aspect of God the Observer in Hindu mythology. It is likely that this ship too was destroyed during or shortly after the premature EMP blast triggered by Bane. The Osiris was one of the larger ships in the fleet, and it was built in the year 2079. Osiris in Egyptian mythology was the god of death, ruler of the underworld, and the god of resurrection and fertility. Captain Thaddeus and his first mate Jue were training in the dojo when the ship's sensors picked up Sentinel activity. The Osiris was the first in the fleet to discover the machine army just as they began to dig tunnels towards Zion. Jue jacked into the Matrix to send a warning message to Zion using an emergency broadcast drop. Just as Jue got the message into the postal drop box inside the Matrix, the Osiris was destroyed by Sentinels in the real world, leaving no survivors. The message was successfully delivered to a P.O. box and later retrieved by Niobe and Ghost. Subsequently, the crisis meeting was held inside the Matrix to inform the other captains of the machine army heading towards Zion as a result of the final flight of the Osiris. The Novalis was one of the larger ships sent as a part of the Zion defense fleet in Revolutions. The Novalis name comes from an 18th century German novelist and poet. The ship was disabled by the premature EMP blast that took place during Commander Locke's offensive. It was salvaged and rebuilt with spare parts after the machine attack on Zion and renamed the Novalis II during the truce. The Gnosis was one of the smaller vessels and also part of Commander Locke's defense fleet that fell victim to the early EMP blast. Gnosis comes from the Greek word meaning knowledge. The ship's captain's name was Ice. The other two members of the ship's crew, Corrupt and Worm, were assigned to watch the door during the crisis meeting. Corrupt answers the door when Smith drops off his earpiece as a gift for Neo. When Neo returns to the city of Zion, an older woman asks him to watch over her son Jacob, who served on the Gnosis. The hovercraft Icarus was captained by Ajax, and Ajax was the only member of the ship's crew present at the crisis meeting in Reloaded. The Icarus was one of the larger ships, and its name comes from the legend in Greek mythology where Icarus flew too close to the sun, melting his wings, and tragically fell into the sea. The Icarus was one of the 5 ships sent by Commander Locke for the preemptive ambush against the Sentinels where the tunnels bottleneck leading into Zion. The Icarus was one of the first 2 ships to be in position for the EMP counterattack, and the first ship to give confirmation to Zion Command that they were in place. Unfortunately, Bane was on board the Caduceus and was already possessed by the Smith virus. Bane set off the ship's EMP, disabling the Icarus, and all but one hovercraft that was part of the offensive. The ship's name Caduceus is an ancient Greek wand, typically one with 2 serpents around it, carried by the messenger god Hermes or Mercury. Prior to being possessed by Smith, Bane, First Mate Malachi, and Captain Ballard were all in attendance during the Reloaded Crisis meeting. Ballard, played by former boxer Roy Jones Jr., volunteered that his ship stay behind to wait for the Oracle's message. After retrieving the Oracle's message, Bane was attacked and overwritten by a Smith clone while attempting to exit the Matrix. As the Smith virus in the real world, Bane then killed the entire crew and used the ship's EMP to disable at least 5 ships, including itself, the Icarus, the Gnosis, and the Novalis. Bane was rescued by the Hammer as the only survivor of the attack. The Hammer, originally named Mjolnir, that's right, as in hammer or crusher, of the Norse thunder god Thor. The ship's plaque states that it was constructed in the year 2111. Its colossal size is the largest of any hovercraft in the Zion fleet, hence why the ship's captain Roland had very little faith in the idea that Niobe would be able to pilot the largest ship through the narrow mechanical corridors. The crew consisted of Roland's first mate Colt, operator AK, the medic Maggie, and crewmate Mauser. The Hammer was not yet in position during the premature EMP detonation, which allowed them to avoid the Sentinel attack and sweep the area for survivors, only to find Bane. Shortly after that, the Hammer also found the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar, which had also been destroyed. Against Captain Roland's protest, Niobe gives her ship, the Logos, to Neo and Trinity so that they can fly to the Machine City. Both Link and Morpheus stay aboard the Hammer. Niobe took over as pilot so that they could get their EMP back to Zion. The oversized hovercraft did prove to be an issue when the bottom of the hull rubbed against debris in the mechanical tunnel. The noise alerted thousands of Sentinels that then proceeded to attack the Hammer, one of which destroyed the ship's communication antenna, preventing the Hammer from being able to identify itself to request that the Zion gates be opened. Fortunately, the Hammer was recognized at the last minute and the gates were partially opened, allowing the ship to crash land into the Zion dock and detonate the EMP. This destroyed all of the Sentinels who were attacking Zion, buying them enough time to seal the tunnels and prepare for a final stand before the next wave of Sentinels arrived. The Logos was the smallest hovercraft in the fleet, which also allowed it to be one of the fastest. Due to the smaller size, its crew only consisted of Captain Niobe, her first mate Ghost, and Operator Sparks. While Captain Niobe is known as one of the best pilots in the entire fleet, Ghost has a reputation as one of the best gunners. The name Logos means the principle of reason and judgment. The ship's plaque says it was built in the year 2101. The Logos also coordinated the crisis meeting after retrieving the last message from the Osiris. When the council inquired about the fate of Morpheus and Neo, Captain Niobe volunteered the Logos crew to search for them along with the Vigilant. The Logos was later disabled after being attacked by Sentinels, which required the use of its EMP. They survived the attack, but the ship needed a jump start once they were rescued by the Hammer. The Logos was destroyed after Neo and Trinity crashed into the Machine City. The wreckage was returned during the truce, and the Logos 2 was constructed from the salvaged parts. The Vigilant was the other medium-sized ship that volunteered to search for Morpheus and Neo during the council meeting. The word Vigilant means to keep careful watch for possible dangers or difficulties. The ship's captain Soren, his first mate Vector, operator Jax, crewman Binary, and Axel also volunteered to help Neo execute the Keymaker's plan to reach the Architect. Their role was to disable the backup power systems once Niobe destroyed the nuclear power plant. However, during this mission, their ship was destroyed by a Sentinel tow bomb in the real world, killing the entire crew, forcing Trinity to jack into the Matrix to finish their mission. Which brings us to the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar. Its name comes from the biblical reference to King Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon from the book of Daniel. Daniel interprets the king's dream of a huge image as God's prediction of the rise and fall of the world powers. The hovercraft Nebuchadnezzar's captain was Morpheus and his first mate Trinity. The original Neb operator was Tank. The rest of the crew consisted of Tank's brother Dozer, Switch, Apoc, Mouse, and Cypher. All of those crew members were killed during Cypher's betrayal, although Tank was able to avenge his brother's murder and kill Cypher before passing himself. Tank was then replaced by Link as the Neb operator in Reloaded. The Neb sustained heavy damage due to Cypher's betrayal as Sentinels in the real world breached the hull, cutting their way into the ship. The EMP eventually destroyed the attacking Sentinels and the ship was repaired. After Neo completed his mission to meet the Architect through the Door of Light inside the Matrix mainframe, Sentinels again locate the Nebuchadnezzar in the real world shortly after having destroyed the Vigilant. This time, the Sentinels stayed out of EMP range and launched a tow bomb that destroyed the ship beyond repair. The inscription on its core read, Mark III, number 11, made in the USA, year 2069. And I've seen a couple of different videos and sources refer this to the book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 11 in the Bible. However, as mentioned in the Wachowski chat transcript livestream here on this channel, when they were asked, quote, many take the make of the Neb, Mark III V11, and quote it from the Bible, Mark 3:11. Was this intended, or is it just the make and model of the Neb and nothing more subliminal than that? The Wachowski's response was, quote, the Nebuchadnezzar is indeed a biblical reference from the book of Daniel, end quote. So while it is possible that someone on the production team added a Book of Mark reference to the plaque, when asked about the biblical reference directly, the Wachowskis only claimed the Book of Daniel to be their intended reference. The lesson here, especially to the big movie blogs watching out there, is that not every metaphor, reference, or Easter egg you find in the Matrix necessarily means what you think it means. As promised, Captain Soren, actor Steve Bastoni, has a quick Matrix memory to share with us.
G'day guys, Steve Bastoni here, aka Captain Soren. Just going to relate a little story to you about when we were filming at Alameda and Will Smith came out to visit set. Obviously, Jada Pinkett Smith was in the film. And Neil Raymond and Adrian Raymond, who played the albino Kung Fu ghost twins, and Will Smith and I played a game of 2-on-2. And we had basketball. And we had one twin on each team. And we won. Me and Neil beat Adrian and Will. And because they're identical twins, it kind of means I beat Will Smith in 1-on-1. Have a great one, and remember, you're not alone.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Fresh Prince lost a basketball game to Captain Soren when the Ghost Twins were up to no good and started making trouble in his neighborhood. Share this video with Matrix fans on other platforms like Facebook, Reddit, or Twitter. And remember, as one realizes that one is a dream figure in another person's dream, that is self-awareness.